Hello, listeners. This is Kat, and welcome back to Put Your Hands Up Podfics. This will be the continuation of Spirit. This will be Part 10, Chapter 10, entitled Killer. After the hubbub of the festival had died down, Class 1A is back in school and currently picking their hero names. Be sure to choose something that best represents you, Midnight says from the front of the classroom. It can be hard to change once your name sticks. You're telling me, Izuku grumbles, making Obro laugh from where he's leaning against the wall of the classroom. Izuku smirks, but he turns his attention back down to the whiteboard on his desk where they're supposed to write and present their hero names. King Explosion Murder, Katsuki growls, writing it fiercely. Izuku rolls his eyes. No, Kachan. How about something like the Explosion Hero Dynamite, something that doesn't make you sound like a villain? Katsuki grumbles, but he erases King Explosion Murder, so Izuku figures it's at least a start. His own whiteboard is blank, but he leans over to peek at Hitoshi. Ooh, I love it, Izuku says. The mind control hero Siren. So cool. Thanks, Hitoshi replies happily. How about you? Izuku taps the marker against his face before writing something and turning it around. Watching his friends nod with approval, he grins. I'm going to be the paranormal hero. Phantom, Izuku says excitedly to the class. Midnight grins. Nice, kid. All right, who's next? Izuku's eyes drift over to the hunched form of Ida, who has yet to decide on a hero name. Izuku's heart aches. It was all over the news last night that Ida's older brother, a hero called Ingenium, had been attacked by a serial killer villain, aptly dubbed the hero killer Stain. Fortunately, Ingenium had lived, but he would likely never walk again. Izuku and Ida aren't super close, but he's still worried for his friend, hoping he can think of something to say to him to make him feel better. After the class shares hero names, Aizawa goes on to explain that internships are about to start, and they should pick an agency. Izuku's a small number of offers, probably because of the nature of his quirk, but he's excited when he sees ectoplasm at the top of the list. Ectoplasm is Izuku's math teacher, but he also happens to have a paranormal quirk, and is one of Izuku's personal heroes. He picks Ectoplasm's agency, excited to work with a hero that, while doesn't have a similar quirk to Izuku's, can at least understand the prejudice that Izuku deals with around his quirk. The next day, Izuku excitedly puts on his hero costume and meets Ectoplasm outside of UA. The hero grins at him, and Izuku's practically bouncing with excitement. Thank you so much for working with me, sir, Izuku says, rushing over to his side. I have so many questions about your quirk. How is your ectoplasm created? How many clones can you make? Are you able to absorb ghost energy in order to increase your own power? Can you feel when one of your clones is destroyed? Ectoplasm laughs. You always were inquisitive, Izuku, ever since I met you when you were small. My ectoplasm is directly generated by my quirk, that is, I don't draw on it from any particular spiritual energy. I can make as many clones as I like as long as I have the energy, and yes, I can feel when they are damaged. Izuku nods as they walk out to Ectoplasm's car, Izuku's eyes widening when he sees a long, sleek black car with tinted windows. It's much flashier than any car his parents have ever driven, and Izuku feels cool when he gets in the front seat next to his teacher. Sir, no offense, but how did someone as cool as you end up teaching high school math? Izuku asks, staring at the interior of the car. Math is cool, Midoriya, Ectoplasm says sagely. And calculations help me with my quirk. Math, like every other subject you learn in school, has a basis in foundational knowledge that can help you apply yourself to many things, even if it is not something you consciously use daily. Izuku takes that in as they drive, excited to head on patrol with a real hero. Despite living with two pros, Izuku's never been on patrol before, and he's practically bouncing in his seat. The day passes without major incidents, although Izuku does get to watch Ectoplasm arrest a few thieves. It's all very exciting. They're in Ectoplasm's car after a long day, the sun long having since set. Izuku's exhausted from going all over the city, ready to head back for a long sleep. He's just getting comfortable when Ectoplasm suddenly slams on the brakes, Izuku surging forward. Fortunately, there's no other cars on the road, so no one runs into them as the car skids to a halt. What is that? The hero asks, looking stunned. Izuku looks out the windshield to see what he clearly recognizes as ghosts, and a lot of them. You can see them? Izuku asks, and Ectoplasm nods, looking a bit stunned. Izuku doesn't wait for his mentor to say anything. He simply gets out of the car and walks up to the group of ghosts, his stomach sinking when he recognizes them. They're heroes. Dead heroes, a lot of them covered in blood and looking at Izuku forlornly. Young hero, the one in the front says. My name is Cobra, I am. You were one of the heroes Stain killed last year, Izuku says, stunned. Are all of you? Yes, the hero says, his form undulating as he speaks to Izuku, voice sounding like it's in an echo chamber. Stain killed us. There are 40 of us in all. Izuku stares out at the group of people, seeing heroes he recognizes and some he doesn't. Feeling a little ill, Izuku swallows hard. Why are you here? Izuku asks, looking left and right. Is Stain? Not here, another hero chimes in. He's not here. He's attacking a young hero in Hosu, a friend of yours, and another pro-hero. They need help. Izuku is shocked, not understanding how or why this group of heroes has sought him out. Before he can question what's happening, Oboro appears in front of him, looking frantic. Izuku, you've got to help, Oboro says, flickering like there's a strobe light above him. Stain's going to kill Ingenium's little brother. Ida, Izuku gasps, not noticing ectoplasm rush up behind him. But Hosu's so far. How are we going to... Oboro grabs his arm, and Izuku feels an odd sensation wash over him, reminding him of what the warp quirk had felt like at the USJ. Get there. Izuku finishes his sentence, opening his eyes in shock. He's standing in an alley. Ectoplasm in the car nowhere in sight. To his right, Ida is laying on the ground with an obvious injury, and there's an unconscious pro-hero against the wall. Izuku looks up to see Stain, the hero killer himself, standing at the other end of the alley and waving a katana. How did you do that? Izuku asks Oboro, shocked. Oboro looks equally surprised. I have no idea. Izuku doesn't have time to think about it any longer as Stain notices his arrival. Izuku feels an intense stab of fear as he looks at the hero killer. He's less than 10 meters away from Izuku, and his stomach tenses with anxiety thinking of the dead pro-heroes who he had just seen in the road, all killed by this man. Oboro curses, jumping into Izuku's body quickly and using a cloud to get him up and off the ground. Use cloud cover, Izuku yells at Oboro in his head. Then we can grab Ida and that other hero and get out of here. Oboro nods Izuku's head, creating a large amount of clouds, pushing them towards Stain, who curses. Oboro then takes Izuku's body down to the ground where Ida is laying, looking up at them in shock. Come on, Oboro hisses through Izuku's mouth. Take my arm, kid. I can't, Ida chokes out, sounding like every word is an effort. It's Stain's quirk. He can paralyze people after he tastes their blood. Oboro just reaches down, scooping up Ida and combining his and Izuku's energies to run as quickly as he can away from the scene. Once they're a few blocks away, Oboro sets Ida down. There was another hero, native, Ida chokes out, once he's leaning against the wall. He's still back there. We can't leave him, Izuku says to Oboro. We've got to go back. I'm not putting you in danger, Oboro says, crossing Izuku's arms. Either of you. Listen, we'll call for help, but Izuku and Ida, you two need to stay here. Izuku gasps as Oboro steps out of him and vanishes completely, leaving Ida and Izuku alone on the street. Izuku's head is spinning, trying to make sense of everything that happened tonight, before he kneels down next to Ida and puts a hand on his shoulder, pulling out his phone. Everything's going to be okay, Izuku says, dialing his dad's phone number. I promise, Ida. Izuku, Aizawa answers on the first ring. Ecto called and said you vanished on patrol. Where are you? I'm sending you my location, Izuku says, voice shaking. Dad, hurry. Some ghosts. They pulled me into a fight with Stain. I found Ida. He's hurt. We're a few blocks away, but I don't know where he is. Don't move, Aizawa says, his voice tense. Stay hidden and stay safe. Is Ida all right? Izuku looks at his classmate, who has an injury but is breathing normally. He'll be okay, but he needs medical attention. There's a pro-hero injured in the alley with Stain, too. He'll need help. Your dad is closer to you, Aizawa says calmly. And Endeavor's in that area as well. I'm sending out a call for help. The police are already looking for Stain. Do not fight him, kid, no matter what any ghosts tell you to do. I promise, Dad, Izuku says, hanging up the call. He and Ida stay in the alley, silent as they hear the sound of fighting in the distance. Izuku had been running on adrenaline before, but now he's afraid, every sound making him jump in his skin. Oboro doesn't come back, and Izuku doesn't see any other ghosts around them. I'm sorry, Ida whispers. I didn't mean for anyone else to get pulled into this. It's okay, Izuku replies. Just hang on. The heroes will find us soon. Sure enough, less than 5 minutes later, Izuku's relieved when Hisashi enters the alley in full hero costume, along with a few police officers, and Izuku sees an ambulance out on the street. Dad! Izuku cries, forgetting to use his dad's code name, running forward and hugging him tightly. Seeing Stain, the serial killer, in person, even for as brief a time as Izuku did, was terrifying. He's shaking a little still. Hisashi wraps his arms around Izuku, hugging him tightly and kissing his head. Don't ever scare me like that again, kid. Are you hurt? No, Izuku shakes his head. Just Ida. EMTs rush over to help Ida, getting him into the ambulance and driving away towards the hospital. Izuku's flooded with relief as he sags into his dad's arms, relieved that no one was seriously injured or killed. Hisashi pulls out his phone, presumably to text Aizawa that Izuku is safe. What happened tonight? Hisashi asks as he walks Izuku out of the alley, heading straight into the back of a police car. Izuku vaguely recognizes the officer in the front seat, but he keeps his focus on his dad. I don't know, Izuku says honestly. I was driving with ectoplasm, and he stopped the car. There were a ton of spirits in the road, and he could see them too. They were all heroes. Hisashi tenses. Stain's victims. Yeah, Izuku nods. And Obro showed up and told me Ida was in trouble. Then he grabbed my arm and he somehow transported us to Hosu. He didn't know how he did it either, but suddenly I was right in front of Stain. Hisashi curses, reaching over to squeeze Izuku's hand. God, kid, I'm so happy you're all right. When the police car drops them off at home, a very anxious Aizawa is waiting in the apartment. He instantly pulls Izuku into a tight hug, kissing his forehead and hugging him for a long time. Hisashi puts his hand on Aizawa's shoulder, looking at Izuku with a worried expression. I'm fine, Dad, honest, Izuku says gently. I should probably apologize to Ectoplasm, though. I must have freaked him out. He's not the one who needs to apologize, Aizawa grits out. Is Oboro here? He's the one who warped you in front of Stain. Izuku shakes his head. No, he's not. But it wasn't his fault, Dad. He didn't know what he was doing any more than I did. That night, Izuku snuggles between both of his parents on the couch as they watch an old movie on the television, none of them saying much. The fear he felt tonight is unlike anything he had felt before, even more so than the USJ. His parents give him the security he needs to rest, his mind racing with thoughts. He hopes Oboro shows himself again soon. All right, listeners, this concludes Chapter 10 of Spirit. Chapter 11 will be up next. I hope you all are still enjoying this fic, and as always, thank you so much for listening.